Hello, I'm Percio Castro with Nibble Technologies, and today I'd like to show you a little more of Nanoscope, the most versatile profiler for the Web Methods integration server. In today's demo, I'm going to introduce you to an exciting new feature called service scoping, which allows developers to profile specific services on demand. If you have watched our previous recording, you know that Nanoscope allows you to profile services that are already deployed and running on your Web Methods environment. This is great for measuring the performance of existing services that already have data flowing through them. But what if you're a developer and you want to quickly assess the performance of your service before deploying it or committing it to version control? That's where service scoping comes in, as it allows you to quickly profile specific services so you can be sure they're up to snuff before deploying them. And the best thing is, you can do all this without leaving Designer. So without further ado, let's take a look. So here I am in Designer with the service development perspective open. As you may recall from our previous recording, we have a package with a few services that mimic a purchase order integration. Now suppose I have added a few new services or made some changes to this integration, and I would like to run a quick performance test against my changes to make sure that I didn't introduce any new bottlenecks. Service scoping gives you a quick and easy way to do just that. You simply right-click on the service you'd like to measure, you go to Profile As, and then Scope Services on Server. Nanoscope will ask you to provide some inputs for the service. And then it will ask you for some additional parameters to help drive the performance test. So for example, you can specify how many threads you'd like to spawn on the server side to simulate a multi-threaded scenario. You can specify how many times you want your service to be executed by Nanoscope, or you can also tell Nanoscope to run your service a certain number of times per second. So how many instances of your service you like to be spawned per second, whether you want to have a warm-up time, and of course, how long you want your test to run. For this demo, I'll just simply say that I want to spawn 10 threads on the server, and I like to invoke the service a total of 1,000 times. Next, Nanoscope will ask you the file name where you'd like to store these results. It would also ask you if you want to include JVM metrics, such as CPU usage, memory usage, and usage of your JVM memory pools. If you don't specify a file name, Nanoscope will automatically provide you with one. When you click Finish, Nanoscope will automatically start running the service on the server, and then it will import the results directly into the Nanoscope perspective. From here, you can do all the same analysis that we discussed in our previous recording. Before we conclude our demo, I would just to highlight a couple of cool features provided by service scoping. The first is the fact that service scoping will automatically save the inputs that you provide when profiling a service. So if you want to profile the service again, you don't necessarily have to provide the same data over and over again, or re-enter the same data over and over again. Not only that, the data is actually saved as a profile configuration. So if you have multiple configurations that you want to provide or create to test specific scenarios on a recurring basis, then you can do that from here, from your profile configurations. You can specify not only inputs, but all the parameters that we saw when we were going through the demo. Finally is the fact that service scoping supports profiling multiple services at the same time. So for the sake of demonstration, let's suppose that I wanted to compare the performance between add-ins and divide-ins. I could simply highlight both services at the same time and say Profile As Scope Services on Server. I could then provide inputs for each one of the services. And note that I can edit all the inputs at the same time using the edit table. And then I would provide the same parameters that we already talked about. So let's use the same parameters for now. So 10 threads, 1,000 times. And let's just click finish. So as you can see, Nanoscope automatically ran both services at the same time, which allows you to see them in the same perspective, which gives you a fairly powerful way to compare two different approaches to solving a problem. So for example, if you wanted to compare the performance of a service that uses append to document list against a service that uses add item to vector, you could easily do that by highlighting both services and profiling them at the same time. You can then, of course, do all the same analysis that we have talked about in our previous recording as well. That's it for our service scoping demo. I hope you enjoyed it. Please check us out on nibble.tech/nanoscope or give us a shout at info@nibble.tech. Take care.